Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to Counsel Today with Shanrae. And I am Shanrae. We're going to listen to this. I do not own the rights to this music. I do not own the rights to this music. We're going to listen to this for a little bit as we're coming in. All right, all right. Good evening, good evening. As you come in, please like and share. Please like and share as you come in. I'm working two separate devices on this evening. So you'll see me looking up and down. But we're going to go on and get started very shortly because this 30-minute stuff, it goes by very quickly. Hey, Ramona, how are you? Good evening. I do not own the rights to this music. I do not own the rights to this music. And this is our theme song for this month, Emotions by Mariah Carey. I do not own the rights to this music. Yes, we're going to go on and get started. Hi, Kim, how are you? We're going to get started shortly. Welcome to Counsel Today with Shanrae, and I am Shanrae. All right, we're going to go on and get started, and welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to go on and do my disclaimer, and then we'll move on with this. This is an open platform. Welcome to Counsel Today with Shanrae. I am Shanrae, and I do these quarterly counsels every 3 months, So, and this is our final week for this month, our final week, week 4 for this month, and then I will resume in November. All right, so good evening, everybody. I wanted to let you know that I am on YouTube. If you want to go on and see any of my previous teachings, you can find me at Shanrae Price. YouTube me, subscribe, and then go on there and then choose whichever series you want to watch. All right, so let's start with my disclaimer. And it says, please be aware that due to the nature of the technology that I'm using, there can be no assurance of confidentiality when using this online service. It should also be noted that due to changes in policies, that all replies are to be used as advisory and informational only, and will not constitute an official determination. Information provided by myself or any other leader or any other counselor or even someone with life experience are subject to the limitations of current and available material. But the final responsibility for successfully achieving a goal rests with you, the individual. Information online is designed to be helpful. However, this information does change frequently, and it is recommended that you, the person, you will consult another physician, another specialist, another religious leader to aid in your overall behavioral wellness. So welcome once again to Counsel the Day with Shanrae, and I am Shanrae. We are on week 4 of emotions. And this week we are going to be talking about the cognitive part of our emotions. And hi, Debbie. How are you, Debbie Boswell? I wanted to let you know that this is an open platform. If you want to chime in, if you want to ask questions, please feel free to do that. If you want to give any type of life experience or maybe some advice concerning maybe something that you've experienced within your lifetime, please feel free to do that. If someone wants to come in live that wants to give a brief, because we only have 30 minutes, a brief observation of maybe the topic that we're talking about, I will bring you in. But please be considerate of this platform here. Please keep it respectful. And we're just going to move it along that way. I let you all know every time that I get on here that I am a degree counselor. My degrees are in counseling. I did receive them from Ashford University. So we're going to go on and get started. As you come in, please like and share. This has been kind of tough topic for this month, but it is necessary. When I was inspired to go on and to talk about, teach about different emotions and the causes of them, it's not an easy topic, but it's necessary. A lot of things that we see in our lifetime or we experience with our family and maybe friends, co-workers, or even on the news, a lot of things are comes from the emotions of people. We just recently saw in the news here in Atlanta, where unfortunately a professor, she committed suicide, but before she did that, she actually killed her two adult children who were 24 and 22. And they've been discussing this all day long on the news and on radio, radio in general. And they're just doing topics on, you know, what could have made her do this. She was a very, the woman was a very accomplished woman. Her children were accomplished because the son just graduated college. The daughter had recently, I think she's in college, but she recently graduated high school. And so they were just trying to figure out what would provoke her to do something like this. And again, a lot of different actions are stemmed from our emotions. So this is why I've decided to speak on this topic this month here. Again, if you have any questions, I'm looking up and down because, as you see, I'm using several different devices. I am using different devices here. All right, so let's start with our scripture for the month. It is Romans 12:2, but I am reading from the Amplified Bible version. And it says, do not be conformed to this world any longer with its superficial values and customs, but be transformed and progressively changed as you mature spiritually by the renewing of your mind, focusing on godly values and ethical attitudes, so that you may prove for yourselves what the will of God is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect in his plan and purpose for you. I am a Christian counselor, so I do a lot of my studies from both, of course, from long-term studies and theorists, but also I will couple it with Christian application as well. All right, so I always start out with my definitions. I want to give you the definition of cognition. So cognition is defined as the mental action or process of acquiring knowledge and understanding through your thought, your experiences, and your senses. Now, I want to give you the definition of anxiety. Anxiety is a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. The other definition of anxiety is a nervous disorder characterized by a state of excessive uneasiness and apprehension, typically with compulsive behavior or panic attacks. If anyone have ever saw the movie Iron Man, I'm trying to remember which one, because it's several Iron Mans. I think it was number 3 or something, where he started having these panic attacks because his experience where the invaders, Thor's brother Thor's brother Loki partnered with people, and they had to fight all of these aliens off, and they almost lost, or the X-Men almost lost. So, am I saying X-Men? It's not X-Men, I'm sorry. It's the Avengers. The Avengers almost lost to them. But he started, smart as Iron Man was, and as confident as he was, he started having panic attacks due to this severe anxiety as an aftermath of this thing. So I like to talk about movies because I believe that we can all relate to that with that. So let's get started. I want to break down how anxiety, how it affects us and affects our mindset, how it affects our behavior, and it all starts here in the mind and how it goes from there. And then I'm going to introduce some some remedies, some different things that we can kind of do on a daily basis to kind of remedy like some of our negative thought patterns that may try to come in on a daily basis. So you all know I do research, and so I'm giving you research, long-term research. So neuroscientists at the University of Pittsburgh have pinpointed a specific neuronal mechanism that helps explain how anxiety can disrupt our decision-making and often leads to poor choices. So what this is saying basically is when we are anxious and we're having we're in a stressful situation, they have done a long-term study and they found a lot of findings about how when you're anxious or you're experiencing anxiety and everything else that goes along with that, how it affects you making decisions, good decisions, logical decisions. So decision making is the cognitive process of making a choice between a number of possible alternatives, which often involve maybe weighing out risk, or doing something that will benefit you, your rewards and consequences, even consequences of your actions. Like when you're off, when you kind of your thoughts are off balance, you can't make a good sound decision. So what they found out is that there is growing evidence that the cognitive, our thought process, of decision making depends on the proper functioning of specific neurons, which is in the front part of our brain, which is called the prefrontal cortex. And it's housed right here in the front part of our brain, right, your forehead. Um, and it says that it plays a pivotal role in the functions that we have, including our long-term planning, understanding rules. A lot of people who are in jail, I always say that I used to tell my children that there are no exceptions to any rules. You're not the exception to any rule, and neither are other people. Rules are for everyone, but the people that feel like rules don't apply to them, a lot of times they're the ones that have to deal with major consequences because they feel like they don't have to follow the same rules as everyone else. So this finding found out that when that prefrontal cortex, when the neurons are not acting right in your brain, it impacts, it really does impact, where did I go? I'm sorry, I just lost my, I lost my way. Here we go. The consequences of risk and rewards and regulating your emotions, solving problems, and making decisions. So anxiety in both animals and humans appear to disrupt the brain neurons in the front here, that are critical for all of us to make smart decisions. So the Pitt researchers, what caused them to do this long-term research on this, they were curious to find out exactly how anxiety impacts the front part of our brain. So in order to pinpoint which neurons were directly affected by anxiety or being anxious or depressed or anything like that, these researchers studied two groups of rats. They studied two groups of rats, which helped them with their conclusion and to make their decisions. And so one reason that these researchers were motivated to pinpoint this, because we know that making the proper decisions in this life, it affects not just that person, but it affects everyone else around them. I saw on the news recently where schools, some leader in one of the schools out there where the Columbine shootings happened years ago, they were doing a drill. They were doing a drill in this school, and they decided to play the actual event that happened years ago when the person came in and shot up the children, shot up the staff members, and they used that to be an exercise for them, a drill exercise for the students to to make sure that they respond correctly. But instead of it working, so I guess they thought it would be a positive outcome. What they did is that they really shook those children up, and the children wound up telling their parents. The parents wound up calling the district board, and they demanded, why didn't they ask for permission to do that? Because now their children were more traumatized by that drill than actually learning what to do. So whoever chose to do that, their decision-making process was altered. It was altered. It wasn't a logical decision that they made, and unfortunately it didn't benefit everybody. What it did, it caused harm. So this is why these different researchers decided to do a research on the neurons in our prefrontal cortex in the front of our forehead, and what neurons, what kind of nerves will are functioning properly. So they were saying that, I'm sorry, I'm reading and I'm looking down because I'm trying to see if somebody's asking any questions. And this is an open platform. You can ask any questions you want to. They want to see what neurons directly affected by anxiety. So where we at? They said anxiety is really, really a prominent, and it debilitates, or it hinders the component of our brain, which help cause psychiatric disorders. Anxiety is often, they said, a key player in major depressive disorders, post-traumatic stress disorder, which you hear a lot of people saying that they've been diagnosed with PTSD. Anxiety is a large play. It causes a lot of schizophrenic behavior and obsessive compulsive disorder, along with addiction disorders. So, for example, in addictive disorders, the research, Rigel said, oh, thank you, Rigel. I'm trying to see if anyone is asking any questions. So, for example, in addictive disorders, the researchers pointed out that addiction creates a vicious cycle that involves the inability to make good decisions, and that is fueled by the double whammy of substance abuse and anxiety. So based on their hypotheses, the anxiety associated with drug dependency in and of itself often leads to poor decision making by disengaging neurons in the prefrontal cortex right up here, which then makes it harder for people to do the right thing and then also to stay clean. Right. So the Pitt researchers are on a mission. They're still doing this to learn more about how anxiety modulates the prefrontal cortex, this up here. And how it's making the decision-making process, for people that are, going through anxiety. And they're trying to find ways to improve the odds and the outcomes of everyday choices that people make in their walks of life. So what they learned here is that anxiety disrupts the decision-making regions of the prefrontal cortex up here. So when you're anxious, when you're upset, when you're nervous, all of this is going to cause you to make the wrong decisions. So again, they learned this by monitoring 2 sets of rats. Okay. And so the first thing that they learned was that anxiety often leads to bad decision making, especially when there's conflicts or distractions. Number 2, the second thing they learned was that bad decisions made up under duress or distress were correlated with the what they call it, the unclamping of very specific neurons. So, for example, I want y'all to think. Ramona said my signals are in and out. Okay, all right. I hope that it gets straightened out, Ramona. I'm so glad to see you here. I want y'all to think about maybe somebody you may know at work, or maybe a family member, or even yourself, who has made a bad decision, or maybe used bad judgment during a high stress time in their life. So does anybody maybe want to share something? And y'all know I'm going to give you, I'm going to share something with you. But does anybody else want to share something about maybe they experienced someone who has been up on a very high stress levels, and that you've witnessed them making like a terrible decision? I can tell you, I was working with a client long time ago. I'm trying to keep it very, very non-specific. Okay, so I'm trying to pick and choose how to say this without giving away too much. But I was working with a client who was married at the time, and the client came in because they really did need to come in and maybe just they had to get a lot of things off their chest concerning their marriage, and their goal was not to eliminate the goal, was just trying to figure out how they can move on from the process of the betrayal that they experienced with their spouse. Okay, so under this duress, they realized that their spouse had betrayed them. Their spouse betrayed them by having an affair. Um, but what they chose to do was just to like allow the spouse to do it. Like just go on and just let him do it. He gonna do it anyway, so just let him do it. And they figured that they'll just let him do it, and that they'll be able to just stay married, you know. And but it never solved anything with the client doing that. It never solved anything, and it really depleted the client's self-worth by them making that decision. And eventually, I mean, the marriage didn't work anyway, because that person the spouse left anyway, you know, he left anyway, because they were gonna go on and give them what they wanted. They felt like if they just be able to play around on the side, that they will just, you know, I don't know the thought pattern with that, but we had to get, you know, during the sessions, the goal was just to make sure that the client was in a more sound, logical type of place, but their home life and their relationship was so toxic until just like every decision that the person was making was just, yes, it was sad. It was very sad. Every decision that the person made, the person just came across as very, very illogical, very scattered, and just you know, as a floor mat. And during the sessions, the goal was to not to get the client, you know, we know naturally to get the client to understand, you know, you don't allow someone to do that if they are for you, but it was more so to get to the root of the issue, and to they didn't want to be alone. You're right. That was a lot of it. They would rather be with anything than to be by themselves, because they had a problem with being alone with that, and so they just settled for anything. And I can't tell you that session, those sessions ended successfully. When the person walked away, they got a lot of the tools that they needed, but because whatever voids that was on the inside of that person, they refused to deal with the void on the inside of them, and they continued to keep themselves in that toxic situation. So therefore there was, you couldn't get healing. There was no healing there, because it was constant up in the air, constant betrayal, constant. And then, you know, and then it started being turned around as if, well, it's you know, started saying it's just my fault. It's just my fault. You know, I didn't, and so there was healing there for the client, but the individual has to be ready. That's the main thing. They have to be ready to want to be healed, you know. So I personally cannot say that they walked away with everything resolved. They had the tools to do it, but you have to make up your mind as well that you you know, if you know that you're not in a productive type of situation, toxic situation, then you have to move on. You have to move on. You got to do what you have to do for you. So I want to go on and talk about some remedies here. Let me see something. I want to move on about their brain cells. Okay, so basically, these researchers, the Pitt researchers, are still researching different ways to remedy anxiety with people so they can make better choices. Okay, but this is one of the things that I not only practice, but I also encourage my clients to do. And this is called meditation for anxiety. And this is a proven way to calm your mind. And it really does. Okay, so listen, it is human nature to worry. And being on the constant lookout for danger, that kept our ancestors back in the day safe and alive. But today, having a hyper vigilant mind does you just a little good, and it causes the fear center of your brain to grow larger and more reactive, leading to a vicious cycle of worry and anxiety. So anxiety disorders affect about 40 million Americans. That's a lot of people. Standard medical treatments for anxiety are anti-anxiety medications, cognitive behavioral therapy, or a combination of both of the two. And therapy, it can be time consuming and expensive, but it works if you work it. I'm not telling you not to do it, because I know it works if you work it. But anti-anxiety medications, they do work fast. And as long as people don't abuse it, then you're good. But meditation, I'm telling you, this is something that I practice, and I also encourage my clients to do. All right, so anxiety doesn't just make you feel bad, it actually changes the structure and function of your brain. We talked about that prefrontal cortex up here in the forehead. It decreases the size. It's it's called the hippocampus, or it's the seat part of the brain, the memory part of your brain. So conversely, it increases the size of the amygdala, and I'm saying that wrong. I'm saying that, which is the area of the brain that's responsible for fear and response, causing you to become even more anxious and fearful. So stress, fear, and anxiety triggers the release of stress hormones and cause imbalances in your neurotransmitters, chemicals that brain cells use to communicate with each other. So it's been known for thousands of years that meditation can help relax you. I'm telling you, it does. I do it myself, and I encourage my clients to do it. But meditation does more than this now. Meditation, like anxiety, it does change the structure of and the function of your brain, but in a healthy way and in a productive way. So number one, meditation breaks your anxious thought patterns. It really does. Number two, meditation balances your brain chemicals. And number three, meditation builds a healthier brain. Number four, meditation reduces brain inflammation. And you all can look this up. This is factual. So I'm going to say this again. Number one, meditation breaks your anxious thoughts and your anxious patterns. Some people experience OCD, where they are just, compulsively, they're compulsive with certain things. A lot of times you see them cleaning up. Some people are very compulsive about stacking things a certain way. Rigel said, how would a Christian go about using these tools? And I'm a Christian. And so I put in the feed, and I'm going to put in the feed again. I put in 2 YouTube videos of how you can do meditation. I listen to meditation music, and I clear my mind. Now, we know who we serve as Christians. So you don't have to do that, the chanting or anything like that. You don't have to do that. But it is imperative that you do clear your mind. And me, I'm a music person. So I like to listen. And when I'm saying music, I'm talking about like water, sounds of water, or like they have the little flute sounds, or the wind sounds, or some just nature. I like to listen to nature. And I put 2 separate YouTube videos in here that you can click, you can copy and paste, and you can start. And there's a beginner's guide to meditation, and it's only 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes a day. But as a Christian, don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of meditation. It's just learning how to clear your mind and learning how to relax on a daily basis without thinking about anything. It is extremely healthy for us. So number one, again, meditation breaks anxious thoughts and anxious patterns. Number two, meditation balances your brain chemicals. It really does. Number three, meditation builds a healthier brain. And number four, meditation reduces brain inflammation. And again, I practice this. I'm practicing this. I have been practicing it for a couple of years. And when I say it works, it works. Okay, so I am going to put in the feed once again. I'm going to put in these two YouTube sites. I should have broke it up, but you all can copy and paste them and y'all can get it from there. Rigel says, can you use gospel music? I would not, because gospel music is emotional and we're trying to clear our mind. You don't need to be listening to never would have made it. And then you be sitting there, and then because you're going to start thinking about how you never would have made and what you made it through. So I would not suggest using any gospel music. If you want to use an instrumental, but even with using an instrument, a gospel instrumental, because a lot of times we know the wording to the songs, it's going to interrupt the clearing of our mind. So I would find an instrumental, just instrumental music, maybe something that you're not familiar with the words or something, and just play it during your meditation time. But I would not listen to any gospel music, because gospel music makes you emotional. It really does. And the goal is to learn how to clear your mind. That's the goal. We have to learn how to clear our minds of everything and just relax. Just relax. So that's why I put in, you can look for something else, but these are just two things that I put in there that I find helpful, but you can make your own choice with what works for you. And you don't have to fold your legs like that. Just being a comfortable. I would meditate either sitting in the chair and with the room, the lights low. Let me hold on. Excuse me. With the lights low, my lights would be low. No television on. I would actually be in a room by myself with my ears plugged up. And listening to my meditation music, and then doing the exercises that go along with it. And I started out doing 10 minutes, and then I got up to 30 minutes and of just meditating, just silence like that. But the one that I put in here, the YouTube link, it's only 5 minutes. 5 minutes a day. That's it, or in the evening. So, but you pick and choose what works for you. And I want to leave y'all, because my time is up, but I do want to leave you all with this quote by Dr. T.P. Chia. And it says, emotion is more powerful than reason. Emotion is the driving force behind thinking and reasoning. Emotional intelligence increases the mind's ability to make a positive, brilliant decision. And that quote is by Dr. T.P. Chia. So I'm going to say that again. I want to leave y'all with this quote, and it says that emotion is more powerful than reason. Emotion is the driving force behind thinking and reasoning. Emotional intelligence increases the mind's ability to make positive and brilliant decisions. Again, that quote is by Dr. T.P. Chia. So I'm going to put a couple of more things in the feed, and then we're going to go on. This has been part one of our emotions, the cognitive. And we're going to go to part two on Thursday. And then that is it, guys, for the month of August. We will resume. I will be resuming in November, guys. So, again, I'm doing this for our happiness, our health, our wellness. And because I believe that we are all overcomers. I truly do. And a lot of times, sometimes, with us needing a little advice or just some strategies to help us while we're going throughout our daily lives, there's nothing wrong with using strategies to help us be more successful in our life. So God bless you all. We're going to end with this Mariah Carey, Emotions. Let me plug this up, guys. And again, I do not own the rights to this music. I do not own the rights to this music. I will see y'all Thursday night for part 2. God bless you all. God bless you all, and I will see y'all then. Any more questions? Don't hesitate to Facebook Messenger me. All right? Any more questions? God bless you all. I do not own the rights to this music. I do not own the rights to this music. And thank you all for joining me tonight. Thank you, Miguel. Deeper than I ever did. Whoa, you. All right, guys. Good night. See you Thursday night. God bless you.